Hello, all. Thank you for joining Dr. Jame Rini and I, Dana Ortiz, for a look behind the curtain of Letting Destiny Deliver. Dr. Rini is a practicing psychotherapist for the last 46 years, and I am a retired law enforcement officer from the Seminole County Sheriff's Office with 26 years experience, and I am now an artist and psychology student. Today's conversation explores some terrain on destiny and the inner core. You might feel inspired, curious, and or even a little stirred. That's all welcome. Today is an invitation to reflect, explore, and take what resonates. So allow yourself to stay open, and let's see what destiny delivers. So, in your book, you talk about the mind, the body, and the soul. This is something I have heard my entire adult life in different forms and fashion. But in your work, what does this mean? What is meant by that?
Well, you have to appreciate that it's been 25 years since I finished writing the book, plus 10 years of writing the book.
Wow.
So in essence, a period of 35 years. And you're asking me that question today. And the book is still accurate. I just have a more explicit way of explaining what the mind, body, and spirit are. The mind is there to help us regulate the flow of energy and information. Like noise is energy, but it's not information. My words are information and energy. Okay. And the mind is there to regulate the flow of energy and information that then helps us regulate the flow of energy and information in the mind and in the body. The soul, I would say, is the collective unconscious. Okay, it's because it is inherited by each and every one of us when we're born. Okay, and that collective unconscious has various forms that it drives us to be, like the mother or the hero. Okay, and what that journey does to you, whether you sell your soul in the process of it, or if you don't sell your soul, that is the part of you that is the permanent record of your existence or existences. And the body is there for action, to manifest the genetic code we were talking about before, the part that these three aspects should be in harmony with.
It's really beautiful how you put that together there. I love that. So when in the chapter where you discuss the inner core, is that the soul? Is that where the soul is? What is the inner core?
The inner core is uniquely human. It's part of our program behavior. Birds have to fly south for the winter. Salmon have to swim upstream. And we're possessed with an inner core that seeks expression and expansion. At the same time, the inner core has to deal with the outside forces that then want to dictate which inner core forces are positive and which are negative, and which are therefore allowed or not.
Okay. So would it be accurate to say that part of our inner core, but not limited to, is our instincts, creativity, expression, and ambition, while external forces are responsibilities, limitations, and societal expectations?
Yeah, and I'll use this analogy, which I use in the book, is that the sun is made of hot gases that by nature seek expansion. but gravity acts on the sun, makes it contract. And it's those opposing forces of expansion and contraction that give the sun its shape and form. When it runs out about hot gases, it then implodes. Gravity wins the war and can't even, eventually become a black hole. So in the same sense, we are born, it's part of the human programming with an inner core that has these needs, okay, that are essential. Just as we need air and food and water and sleep to survive, these are on the psychological and emotional level that seek expansion. But at the same time, we have to deal with the gravitational forces of the outside world. And the outside world can do a lot of damage to that inner core because of its misguidedness.
So you just talked about, and this is also in the book, we are moved by forces from within as well as from without. And together, these opposing forces shape and form who we are. When I read this, it was really a feeling that you were inviting me to do some introspection work there. And I really thought it was nice. But you also talk about how the inner core seeks expansion. What are some signs that someone's inner core is being contracted? So opposite of expansion. Or is there a better word for that?
Well, what you want is much like air. You want expansion and contraction. We expand our lungs to take in oxygen. Our body takes it and processes it, and then we exhale to remove that which is toxic. Okay, that which resonates with us is oxygen to our inner core. Now, that doesn't mean that things aren't difficult and that there isn't some degree of effort that's required, because it is, in order to have both minds invested. Okay, but the resonance is unconscious. The effort that goes into the learnings that are necessary, are more the conscious effort initially until they become unconscious. So it resonates with us. When I was wanting to major in psychology in 1974, everyone was saying it was not a good choice because there were no jobs and you needed advanced degrees. But I decided that didn't matter to me, and so I went ahead and majored in psychology. And if I would have listened to everybody else, I would have majored in engineering, which is not me at all. So it's that, again, the mind help us regulate the flow of energy and information, especially in this day and age when you have so much information from so many sources. And it's a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. And the people don't have the ability to discern truth from fiction. And so they are not allowing destiny to deliver in that sense.
There have been times in my life, many times, and many mothers out there feel the same way. I know from talking to them throughout my life that I would feel guilty if I was resting and things need to be done for others. So internally, I would tell myself it was not right to rest until everyone else had been helped. Is this an example of having a limited or limiting belief?
Yes.
Okay. And during that same time period, I had the urge to run away or explode verbally on others around me. Would that have been a sign that my inner core was contracting?
Yes.
Okay. And I understand that, every person is different. So there may be people who are similar and this resonates with them, but I just wanted to be able to give a personal example of what my understanding a limiting belief is and what the contracting of the inner core is. Diving a little further into this, I've seen others lose creative flow. I am an artist, and seeing people who do different types and different forms of art, I've seen them lose their creative flow and seemingly tighten around their basic needs, right? Is this also a sign of the inner core contracting?
Fixating on your fixation on what is contraction and what is expansion. Best way to put it is they can take on many forms. Like contraction can be you're withdrawn. Okay, you're not open or receptive to the outside world. You're going within. Okay, expansion can be that you're happy, and so therefore you are, in a better mood and things feel better to you. But another way of looking at it is growth is expansion. Contraction is going backwards.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate you explaining that further. I just think it's really important to give some real life examples because when I was going through this, I didn't know what was happening and why, or even what the inner core was. So to be able to bridge that gap, I think it's important.
It is very important, I can tell you.
So if someone were to begin this journey today, what daily practice would you invite them to start? Other than the obvious of listening to your book daily.
I'll answer that question. You may have to remind me, but what I was experiencing there is that detective in you, your questions that feel like an interrogation.
They're absolutely an interrogation, but less interrogation and more interview. There is a difference.
I understand that, but you, for the fun of it, interrogated me that one time. So I do have that, overlapping experience there. And it is an interview. I'm just sharing with you the association and don't want to change anything in that, just sharing that. So your question again?
I'm going to elaborate a little further that for anybody who listens to this, that the interrogation was to show an example of me and having a fierce side, and that was all. So the question is, if someone were to begin this journey today, what daily practice would you invite them to start, other than the obvious of listening or reading your book daily?
Self-reflection and self-observation.
And
self-reflection isn't looking for all the things you might have said that may have come across wrong or that kind of stuff. Self-reflection is just kind of replaying the day like a videotape, and observing. You observe yourself in that, what went well, what could I do better? It isn't a judgment. And, what kind of feedback did you get during the day? What did you learn? And doing that at least on a daily basis, so that then is how expansion, growth begins, because you're literally tying things together. You're linking your neurons together and creating a network.
And this is what I say about that. It's when somebody starts to wake up and open their eyes.
Yes.
Okay. We touched on this the last time we spoke in the recording, and I just really think it's important to expand a little bit further. What does it mean to comply with one's destiny?
What does it mean? It means that it is an autonomous force within us, of which the ego is probably not going to align itself with automatically and effortlessly and without some self-consciousness. So it's that recognition that we have this self, and the ego has to, as in any relationship of authority, kind of respect and build a trusting, two-way relationship with the self and the ego.
Nice. I think we're able to really dive into the inner core and parts of destiny. If you don't have anything else that you want to add, or do you have anything?
What was your objective today, overall, or overarching objective?
I think the objective today was really being able to bridge that gap that I see, or I saw myself at least, between what's happening with the average everyday person who has all these built-in limiting belief systems, not understanding what you're saying because of those belief systems that are in place in the conscious mind, is stopping it, right? Stopping them from understanding and pushing them away from listening to what you're trying to say. It's breaking it down piece by piece, and that's what this is, to open their mind to it, to hear what you're trying to say. And so the focus today on that was for the inner core, and that's what happened. And I think the objective was completed.
Well, I appreciate you taking your time and energy to be able to break it down in a way that's more understandable for the everyday person. And I'd say that was all sincerity. I know we're laughing here, but I really appreciate that, because I need that. You serve that function and need, and you do it well. Okay.
Well, thank you. And I thank you for what you do every single day. So thank you for joining Dr. Rini and I on this journey behind the curtain of letting destiny deliver. If something resonated, stirred, or even challenged you today, that is a sign your inner core is listening. Keep exploring. Stay curious. And remember, destiny isn't something you chase. It's something you allow. Until next time, be well.